Welcome to another episode of the Chronic Comeback Podcast. Today, this is just more of an update podcast, an update video message, if it's not a video, if you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts, obviously. But yeah, I just thought I'd do, given that I've been in Bali now for just over a month, I just wanted to give you guys like a bit of an update with like where I'm at, like what I'm working on. And yeah, like any changes or anything like that I've made. I'm kind of like conscious of like, for my own like personal sanity of like continually like updating the world on like if I'm feeling better or not feeling better and stuff like that, just because it can stress me out, to be honest. So I'm going to put this out there and like, I don't know, I'll see how many of these I will like continually do. I might just more do solo episodes, just talking about specific subjects, whether it's actually going to be me talking specifically exactly how I'm feeling. I just got to weigh up, how good that is for me. Because it can be, as anyone knows, it can be pretty deflating when someone says, "Oh, so how are you doing? Is it, is all that stuff you're working on making a big impact?" And you're like, yeah, kind of, but I also feel like shit a lot of the time as well. So yeah, hopefully, I'm sure anyone listening to this can understand and that resonates. But yeah, so in general, well, first of all, I've got to apologize. I'm wearing for anyone who's watching, I'm wearing some kind of sleeveless tank top type situation. I was going to change it to a t-shirt before this, and I was like, do you know what? This is pretty much what I wear the whole time because it's so fucking hot. This is just how I'm going to be for a lot of the time. So yeah, people, I guess, better get used to it. That sounded like a threat. You better get used to it. It wasn't a threat. You just probably need to get used to it. And what the hell was I saying? So yeah, so I've been in Bali for just over a month now, and I'm doing a lot. And I think that's probably, I need to simplify things a lot more in terms of like I'll just talk you through the various different things I'm doing, what I feel like is doing well, and other things I've got to like kind of address. So first of all, bloody brain retraining. God, it just does not suit me at all. I'm working on, and this is not a reflection on Lindsay's program at all. It's more a reflection on me, Lindsay Mitchell's Vital Side, and it's a great program, and she's really good. And I have to do these rounds each morning, and at the moment I'm only doing one round because I was getting so overwhelmed, and Lindsay was just like, "Look, just start with one round, and then you've got to do these things throughout the day where you're interrupting your thoughts and your negative thought patterns, all of that kind of stuff." And so I'm doing the one round every day. I'm doing that. There's not been a day that I haven't done that. I've done that every day. The interrupting your thoughts and like doing like, it's kind of like it's a brain. I don't want to give anyone too much detail because I don't know how happy Lindsay would be for me to do that. But anyway, it's about like stopping yourself in that moment and doing various, like a number of things to help in that situation, and to then kind of, I guess, start forming new neural pathways in that situation so you don't have that same negative associations. And I'm not doing that enough. Sometimes because I'm so busy with work and stuff I'll talk to you about, I get to like 5 p.m. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't done one of those yet. And there was also, I find it really difficult to visualize. And I talked to Lindsay about this, and she gave me a few techniques to look into, and I haven't been doing them as much as I should. So I can't blame her or the program when it's like on me to like practice those. I find it, I think I've mentioned it in a few episodes recently, I find it really difficult to properly visualize and feel. It's more that tune into like a feeling of a moment. And I know some people can literally just close their eyes and they'll be there. They can feel the water of the ocean, feel the heat of the sun. And like, I say these things when I'm doing this visualization, but it's not really working. And so because of that, then I'm like, as I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, this isn't really working. I'm kind of just doing it for the sake of doing it. That being said, I do think that doing this every day and having a practice, and actually I am catching myself a lot with negativity. So just stupid things like I quite often, I'll drop something on the floor and I'll be like, oh, fuck. Sorry, I shouldn't be swearing so much, but I'll say, oh, fuck. Or I'll be like, I'll walk into another room and realize I haven't taken the thing that I was meant to take with me into that room. And I'm like, oh, shit. And like, if I'm doing that consistently throughout the day, or I'm like, or I'm saying, calling myself an idiot for something where I'm not so much of an idiot. And all of these things, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I do this a lot, all of those things. And I'm catching myself a lot. I do feel like I'm a lot more aware of my thoughts and a lot more aware of their impact. And therefore, I do feel like that is having a real positive impact. I do feel like just doing it every day, it has to be having some good in the sense of like training that muscle to visualize, to focus on these different things. So there's that side of it. Look, I started on the negative, like as in with the brain retraining, just because it's like the biggest thing I'm working on, and it's a work in progress. And I guess the amazing thing about having so many people on my show is that I get to speak to so many people, get so many different perspectives. The bad thing is that I keep speaking to all these people who have different brain retraining courses or have recovered from different ones. And so like every time I speak to them, I'm like, oh, that sounds good. And I'm like, I'm getting the shiny object syndrome where I'm like, Jesus, I want to do that now. I want to do that now. So I need to realign in terms of what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. But also just be like, I'm only best part of a month in, and I just need to be a little bit easier on myself, I think. And I think I put a lot of pressure on this happening in the next 6 months. And I always do that to myself. And then I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. Like I've had this for so long now, like it doesn't matter. Whenever it happens, it happens. And I need to enjoy my life and other things like in the meantime. And I think that's something that I'm like, over the last month, I'm really trying to focus on, and not something I focused on before. And it is a bit of a game changer. And I did an episode with Kathleen King, and she talked a lot about it. And that's why I'm interested just to take a look at her program, not necessarily to fully do it, but she talks a lot about just enjoying your life, and the body will catch up, which I just thought was really interesting. Anyway, so there's that. So I'm doing that on a day-to-day basis. What has been amazing, I was in Guatemala, I was seeing my brother, and he said, there's this energy healer woman that you should go and see. And so I was like, okay, can she help me with my health? And he was like, yeah, definitely. So I was like, right, well, I'll try anything. So I saw her for a week, and she was absolutely mental. Hopefully she's never watching this, but actually lovely. Absolutely mental is really harsh. She's a bit off kilter, and anyway, but she might have been a bit crazy, but she had a hell of a lot of intuition about energy and spirituality, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we did this breath work every day, and it sent me into another like dimension. Was absolutely crazy. It was just from that moment I was like, wow, this is breath work. It does something for me that meditation doesn't. And so that was my first introduction to breath work. And so I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, Unleash the Power Within, and he had a Wim Hof thing there. And so the minute I did it, and I was like, oh, okay, this resonates. And so I signed up for a weekend retreat, and it was just amazing. Then started doing his breathwork like regularly. I've been on another retreat. And so it's something I've kind of like done on and off. And when I was coming to Bali, I was like, I'd really like to do something. I'd really like to just do something. So I found this place called Breathwork Bali. So anyway, I got talking to the guy who's like the owner, and he, if you look him up online, Edward Dangerfield, he's done a lot of like YouTube videos, and he's all about talking about breath work and the impact it has on your nervous system, and actually the limbic system, and how you can rewire your limbic system through breath work. And as soon as I heard this, I was like, okay, this is interesting, because I like the thought of doing something like this to help me with my, the limbic system impairment or whatever. And so I got in contact with him, had a call with him, and he was like, well, we're doing this month intense like container where a group of 12 people come and we do real in-depth, like scientific knowledge around, like teachings around what the breath does. And then we do actual journeys. And by journey, I mean like an hour and a quarter breathing. And what's different about this process is, so it's called connected breathing. And I actually did connected breathing in Mexico. Hadn't realized I had, but I did connected breathing. But this is assisted. I think they call it assisted. But so where basically they come and facilitated, where they come and they're trained to look at how you're breathing and how that's affecting your nervous system. And they do different things, apply different pressure to different areas of your body, into your neck, into your ribs, into your stomach, your diaphragm, all of this kind of stuff. And and so by doing that, they can affect the depth of your journey, but also the effect it's having on your nervous system, etc., etc. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about this. But anyway, what the Edward, the guy who runs it, what he was like really surprised about was how, considering I haven't done this before, I had such a capacity for such a huge inhale. And I was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. But then what became really apparent is that I'm really good at getting up there, but coming down and relaxing, I'm terrible at. I'm going to say terrible, but like, yeah, that's the problem I have. And so Wim Hof, what Wim Hof does, not Wim Hof the guy, but the method is it just gets you up there and you get as high as possible. You go to different dimensions, all of this kind of stuff, which is amazing, which is why people keep coming back for more. But then there's no real focus on how you go into this relaxation side of it. And so for the first few times when I did this breathing, I was breathing so hard. I wanted to get this high. I wanted to get this, like, because you get like emotional releases. And for someone who isn't so emotional, it's really nice to have this, you get overcome by emotion. You get this high, like ecstasy. Anyone who's done MDMA, like that kind of feeling. And you get a lot of clarity as well when you're in that state about anything going on in your life. And so I really like that. And that's what I was always trying to like push towards it. And what happens is you get this, sorry, I'm going into loads of detail, but I actually just find it fascinating. And it's something I'm probably going to talk about a lot more, but you get these reactions where you get all pins and needles all up in your body, which I always got with Wim Hof. And you get this, what I call, the claw, where basically your hands just start to like go like that, and you're breathing and your hands are like that, and you can't, and it gets quite painful. And I'd been told really with Wim Hof, this is actually a good thing and that you should just breathe into it and it's fine. And what I've told with the connected breathing is that actually what that is your inhale is bigger than your exhale. And so you're not able to relax and come down from it as much. So this practice is all about getting your body really stressed, getting your nervous system really stressed, but then teaching it how to relax and to come down and in a safe way, and to teach you that everything is safe, everything is okay. And so for someone with a nervous system dysfunctioning like mine is, that's amazing. And I can, through regular practice, I can teach my nervous system to calm down, to relax. I once worked with a practitioner and they after a number of tests, and they said to me, you're probably someone who's never really felt relaxed in his whole life, are you? And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, sure, I feel kind of relaxed at times, but I'm never that person who's just like, oh yeah, I feel so relaxed now. That's just, I just don't feel that. But with this breath work, what I started to find was, rather than just loving the up part of it so much, which I still do, the actual, and this is what they say, the real gold is in the other side. So it's like a bell curve, this breath work. So you go up, you hit the top, you hit the peak, and then you come down. And in that, when you come down, your whole body is just like, it's buzzing, but just like completely coming down. Your nervous system is relaxing. And what was difficult for me was that we were doing this on this like hard floor. So all my joints were touching the ground. And because I have such problems with my joints, I felt like a lot of relaxation. But then after about 10, 15 minutes of it, I just started to feel really uncomfortable. And so I wasn't relaxed. And so I've started to do these one-to-one sessions, which are on actual like beds. And wow, I went into a state where I was like, I went into the, again, you've experienced a lot of like negative self-talk when you're doing these things, because you're like, I'm not doing it right. I'm wasting my time. Maybe there's something wrong with me, all this kind of stuff. And then it's amazing because you've got this practitioner who's seeing all this stuff going on, and they're manipulating they're adjusting your body. They're doing certain things with your diaphragm, with your chest, with your neck, to make you respond in a certain way. And I've now had 2 one-on-one sessions after doing 8 group sessions. I've had 2 one-on-one sessions. And in both sessions, particularly the first one, even now in the second one, I pretty much stopped breathing on the relaxation. And this isn't, I know that's going to sound really bad, but it wasn't, it wasn't like I was holding my breath. I just didn't feel the need to breathe. And I was like, I was thinking about it, because I was like, am I breathing or am I not? I don't know, but I don't feel like I need to breathe. And then eventually he said, no, take a breath. And I was like, oh shit, I haven't been breathing. And I took a breath, and then I went back down, and I was like, I don't feel like I need to breathe again. And he told me I took 1 breath in 7 minutes, which is just mental. And that whole time I was in the most relaxed state. And afterwards, when I asked him about it, he said, that is exactly that's like a perfect thing to happen in one of these breathwork sessions. You're resetting the nervous system. And if you can continually do that, like a lot in these sessions, then obviously that's going to help rewire the limbic system. It's going to help you get that balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic, which is what I don't have at the moment, and which I imagine a lot of you guys watching also don't have. So I feel really, really positive about this. So at the moment, I've signed up for 10 individual like one-to-one breathwork sessions, and I'm going to like 1 weekly session as well. So that's going to be something that I'm going to do. I mean, typical me, I'm like, oh God, I want to go like 5 times a week, just really have it happen really quickly. But I'm going to at least do like the 1 private, 1 group every week. And people are just, you go to these group ones and people are having just amazing experiences all around you. You feel incredibly connected to them, as cheesy as that sounds, but you do. And so, yeah, I know that's maybe not so helpful to people who are listening to this and like, I don't have access to that now. However, if you've never done breath work before, please look into it and try and go and do something, preferably where you can do it in person. I say please. You might say that, it doesn't resonate with me. I just feel there's a book that I'm reading. It's called Breath, and it's by a guy called James Nestor, Nestor. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it, and read it. It will make you realize that if you're focusing on your health at the moment and you're not considering your breath at all, then I feel like you're not considering everything, which I feel like we all have to consider everything. The other thing as well is that, so the one thing that kind of stresses me out about, which it shouldn't, about breath work is like having to do that big breath stuff every day. And it feels a bit like a workout. So you have to really gear yourself up to do it. But what he's told us to do is box breathing, which anyone listening to this can do this. And you can just look it up on YouTube. And most of you might even heard of it. Is where you breathe in for a count of however many seconds, hold for the same count, breathe out for the same count, hold for the same count. You do that for a certain period of time. And I'm doing, start at 4 seconds, and I've built up to 6 seconds. And you're meant to add a second every month. Can't quite get to 7 at the moment, but I'm doing that for 30 minutes. Rather than meditating each day, because it just wasn't really working for me. I'm doing 30 minutes of breath. I'm doing my rounds of brain retraining. Then I'm doing my box breathing. And then I'm doing I've got a gratitude journal, which is absolutely awesome, by the way. Got it off of Amazon, and I just thought it was so well done. If anyone wants details of that, I'll send it to you, because I feel like it's amazingly done. So yeah, I write in that, and I try and, if I can go for a walk on the beach, which is obviously just something that's amazing to be able to have this now, which I never used to be able to have. So those are all like the really cool things. The breathwork thing is just like a big thing that's added into my life. I'm really grateful for it. And I've actually said I'm going to do the practitioner training next year. I was going to do it this year, and then I just don't have the bandwidth to do it at the moment. The other things I'm doing, a lot of the gyms here, but one gym here in particular has this sauna and ice baths. And then they have this relaxation area, which is just so, you can't help but feel grateful being in that environment. And just like, it almost feels a bit like self-indulgent that you're just like doing that. And like, I'm sitting there on a Tuesday at like 10:30 a.m. and I'm sitting on this bean bag with a smoothie in my hand. This isn't rubbing it in, by the way, but like, it's just like, I just feel good from it, like mentally. And actually I've had my membership run out, and I decided to take like a 10-day break. And I just went back today for just one day, because I was feeling like shit today. And yeah, I just feel so much better having gone there. The other things to kind of like drop in is that, so I'm working with this guy who specializes in working with people who have got injuries and getting them back to like doing some kind of exercise. My goal is to, I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro this year. I want to be able to go on a run this year. I want to be able to do stuff. And how my joints and everything currently feel, like, that feels a million miles away. However, I have to do those things. They have to get done. So I just wanted to work with someone, and he's kind of like, what I've realized is I'm starting to do things now where I'm still in a lot of pain, but I'm doing them anyway. And it's a mix of like, I don't want to push through pain, but also I don't want to keep listening to this story I keep telling myself of like, I can't do that because I'm injured. I can't do this because I'm injured. And I think there is an element. I remember when I did my ACL in my knee, and I just couldn't get back to playing football. And I said to the physio, I was like, I'm just in pain all the time. And like, I'm just worried about it. And she said, look, you're just gonna have to push yourself through. You're gonna have to play through the pain to get to the other side. And I just thought, screw it, go on, then I'll do that. And I just did. And it got to the point where, yeah, it was in pain, but I got to play football, and I got to run, and I was back to normal. This was a while ago now. So yeah, I'm not what I used to do with stuff like this. I used to do something, as soon as I was like aggravated, like my hips in pain now, my elbows are in pain. But like, as soon as something like that happened, I'd take like 20 steps backwards, and I'd just be like, right, I'm not going to do anything for a month. But what would happen in that month? I would just feel just as bad. Like I wouldn't feel better. It's not like I'd rest and would feel better. So I'm doing these one-on-one sessions with this guy, and I'm going 3 times a week. He's setting me stuff outside of it, and I'm so weak. It's embarrassing. God, compared to how I was like a number of years ago, it's embarrassing, but it's also like humbling, and it actually feels good to be doing something. So sometimes I'm like, is this good? Because I am, like today, I'm in quite a lot of pain, but it just feels good to be doing something and moving forward. So I'll update you guys on that. I've got plans for all of that, but yeah, I'm going to keep going and going at it. The other thing, like, the other thing, so I've got the Aura ring. I think I've mentioned to you guys before. And when I'm doing this breath work, it's crazy. Most times I'm doing it now, it says I've done it. It thinks I've had a nap. So obviously I'm relaxing that much. It thinks I'm actually asleep, which is amazing. So that's one thing. The other thing is, so staying in this place at the moment, which obviously, as you can see, if you guys have been watching my videos for some time, I've specialized in having terrible backgrounds for you guys to focus on. And for once, I mean, I don't want to, maybe you don't agree, but for once I've got a pretty nice background. And so I've rented this place and it's really nice. I just thought I'd rent it for a month, but it's definitely got mold. And when I don't sleep well, which is quite a lot at the moment, I'm sneezing. I react to mold. I'm sneezing and my eyes are going, and it doesn't sound like that bad, but when it's happening constantly, for anyone who's got hay fever, it's like having hay fever constantly. You're sneezing and you feel tired. And then you try to go to, so I've had a period of about a week now where I've had this, and then I've woken up. Tried to go to bed, tried to go to sleep, and I can't sleep. My head's just going a million miles an hour about work, all kinds of things, and I'm just not sleeping well. And so I've just got this like vicious cycle of not sleeping well, being in like this kind of environment. Then I've been doing these podcasts, particularly with the one with Kathleen King, and it's like there's going to be mold everywhere, particularly in Bali. It's rains, we're in rainy season, it's raining all the time. This place is a year old. So any place I'm going to go to is probably going to have some kind of water damage and some kind of mold. Yes, there are varying degrees, but, and I say to myself, well, okay, well, if I'm not sneezing all the time, then there must be times when my system is okay to deal with it. And so that leads me to believe that actually I need to train myself to be able to live in these kinds of environments. So I probably am going to be leaving this place, but not for those reasons. But hopefully I'll find a place with, you know, a nice background again. So yeah, my sleep is like, it's kind of up and down. It's really something I really wanted to focus on, and I have been. And the other thing I'm trying to focus on was like trying to have more time focusing on me and what I'm working on. Like the health stuff and all that kind of stuff, and like less on work, which I was doing all the time, which I've done. But now I'm in the situation where, oh shit, I'm not focused on work enough. So I'm like, that's kind of stressing me out a little bit as well. So I've actually, our business, my business partner Ian and I, our business is going really well, which is a really big positive. And yeah, it's actually probably a big reason why I find it difficult to go to sleep at night, because I've always got so many ideas about it and I'm always thinking about it because it excites me a lot. But that's going really well, which means that the job I was doing kind of part-time freelance, which I don't like doing. It served the purpose for a long time, but right now I don't like doing. And I've basically told them that, yeah, pretty much I'm not going to do that anymore, which is a big leap of faith, because that means the business needs to be earning enough money for me to, you know, to live and pay for these bloody breathwork PT sessions and stuff like that, which, you know, money's been a bit of a stress in the last few years. It never used to really be that much of a stress for me. I always used to it would just work itself out, and it always did. And so I'm getting myself I'm in that mindset at the moment where I'm just like, it will work out. It will be fine. So yeah, that's it really. I don't know if you can tell, I'm still very much I'm constantly in a transitional phase, but like definitely here. The other thing as well is like, I'm in a new place. I don't know anyone. And even though it's Bali and it's very health focused, a lot of people are going out and getting drunk, and they socialize through alcohol. And I can't. One of the goals I've had for this year is that I'm not going to touch alcohol at all. Obviously, I go long periods of time without drinking alcohol. I don't ever drink. I haven't really drank it regularly for like the last 3-4 years. But I'll have like a stint where maybe I'll have like a month where I'll drink 4 or 5 times, and it'll be binge drinking, and I'll feel terrible from it. So this year, a goal of mine was to, alongside a number of others, was to not drink at all. And so with that, it's just difficult to meet new people. I have met new people, so it's cool. And I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself with stuff like that. And just focus on my habits, my routine, and just be grateful that I'm in, you know, a place like this anyway, and just trying to focus on gratitude rather than things that aren't within my control. So yeah, that's it. It was actually a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a 10-minute. So this might not be useful to any of you. Hopefully it was. What I will say is that I'm convinced more than ever that mindset, mind, body, that connection is just so big. And I know it'll be key in my recovery. The other thing to mention is, so I'm still doing my parasite cleanse each month. And I was meant to be doing heavy metals, which I basically just decided I just didn't want to spend the money on doing it. So at the moment, I'm not actually taking really any supplements, which is, it's kind of a bit weird because I'm like, oh God, am I doing anything? I'm not actually really taking day-to-day supplements. And I think that's a mental thing as well, because I'm like, oh no, like I'm wasting time. Like I should be taking supplements, but yeah, it was just like, it was going to cost me like a few grand. And the main thing was with the heavy metal stuff, it's chelation. I had to take them every 4 hours for 3 days straight, which means I would have to get up in the middle of the night. And I just thought, oh, every week having to do that. It was 2 nights, interrupting my sleep. I just thought I would maybe just have a period of time where I wouldn't do that. And yeah, God, I keep thinking of more things. So I haven't been doing coffee enemas, but I've been doing colonics out here every 10 days, every 2 weeks. And my stomach, it probably helps that I've been eating pretty clean as well. But in general, my stomach has not been better than this in a long time. Every now and then when I eat too much, which I do, maybe a little bit too regularly, like it's a bit dodgy, but compared to how I used to feel when I woke up in London and when I was back home recently, I'd have that horrible feeling in my stomach when I woke up pretty much every morning. And I don't get that here. I get the other symptoms like my joints, my nerves, all of that, and fatigue. I'm still getting that. So, but my gut is a lot better. And yeah, that's a real positive. And I should focus on that more. We should all focus on stuff more that's positive. So anyone's listening to this right now, what can you focus on right now that is positive for you? What can you focus on that has changed, that is going well? There is always something. So find something for sure. And also just focus, what's that next small change you can make in your life that can move the needle for you? We don't all need to recover tomorrow. I want to recover tomorrow, but we don't need to recover tomorrow. We can start living our lives now. We can start being excited about our lives now. When we recover, that, you know, we will recover. We all will recover, by the way. That will happen. That will happen. So you need to maintain that belief, but you also just need to realize that you've got a life to live in between. And that's what I'm focusing on now. So anyway, far too much. Hopefully my tank top wife beater or whatever the hell you call it hasn't put you guys off coming to the channel again. But yeah, hope you're all well. Hope you're all safe. And yeah, let me know if you've got any questions in the comments on YouTube. Send me a DM. If you want to get any information about anything that I've discussed, please let me know. Hope you're all well. I'll speak to you soon.